Hey, welcome into the House of L podcast. I'm Lawrence. Thanks so much for hanging out. We are brought to you by Remy Martin. And look, House of L is independent. There are some crossover things that happen with the score. Like, for example, I am a partner with Remy Martin. I'm a brand ambassador for Remy Martin here on House of L. They're a sponsor. They're also a sponsor at the score. So look, I'm doing this thing on Saturday, and I want you to come be a part of it if you're around. Benny's Beverage Depot in Orland. I'm going to be there Saturday morning, 11 until 12:30. We're going to be signing people up for the Quarter Dreams. It's really magnificent. I did it last year. I had a blast doing that, being able to play ball at the United Center, make baskets at the United Center. It's a really cool event. We sign you up. You get dressed there. They give you a uniform and the whole 9 yards. You should do this. And one of the ways that you can sign up is coming to see me at Benny's in Orland Park on Saturday morning. We're also going to give away Remy Martin samples. It's a good time. It's a really good time. So if you're out in the South Burbs, come through. Okay? All right. I wanted to talk a little bit about winning the offseason because it's going to be a thing that you hear people discussing on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, wherever, on our radio shows, like the concept of winning the offseason. And to be clear, the Bears haven't won the offseason because the offseason's not over. Okay? They haven't won anything yet other than getting Ben Johnson to be their coach, which was clearly their number one objective. So to me, I look at that and I say, good for the Bears that they were able to come up with a plan, execute that plan, then get everyone on board, especially financially. If what you hear about what Ben Johnson's getting per year is true. And then they got the guy. And there wasn't any question. There wasn't any hemming and hawing. He didn't have to go out to Las Vegas. Tom Brady didn't throw the rings on the table and impress him to take the Raiders job, even though they don't have a quarterback. He picked the Bears. He wanted to coach the Bears. The Bears wanted him to coach. That's a success story. That part of it is a success. That doesn't mean that they won the offseason because the offseason's not over yet. But what it does mean is that they got something done, something they wanted to do, and it was positive. And I'm going to give them credit for that part of it. There's still more that they have to do. And I know there are people who are really grumpy, like, oh, they haven't done anything yet. This dude was in my mentions yesterday. Well, I can't. I won't believe it until December. What is everyone so excited about? You are so brave, sir. You're so very brave that you're going to wait until December. Yeah, there's still a lot of stuff for the Bears to do. But you can also live in a space where it's like, wow, they went and got this done as professionally as I've ever seen the Bears get something done as an organization. There's nothing wrong with rejoicing in that. Now let's see what happens next. I think there's a lot of key things that have to happen next for Ben Johnson to have success. Having the quarterback here is helpful, and I like the way that he talked about how he knows that he can work with Caleb, but it's not just about Caleb. That they've got to get some other things right too. I enjoyed the way that he talked about what he's learned from other coaches. That stuff is important. And you can learn from the bad lessons too. I learned a lot from bad lessons that I was shown, bad examples that I was shown earlier in my career. And I hope that people that are using me as a mentee will look at the mistakes that I've made and be like, I can do better than that. That's what I would want for them. But it's clear to me that Ben Johnson has a desire to be great in a way that, quite honestly, and I don't mean this just as like shit on Matt Eberflus day, that I didn't see from Matt Eberflus. I can't tell you that it's going to work. No one can. The Bears can't. Ben Johnson can't tell you. Caleb can't tell you it's going to work because all those people would have told you it was going to work last year. Well, not Ben Johnson, but you understand my point. There's still a lot of work to do. And what I'm hoping is that Ben Johnson is able to influence this front office to do their job better. Because that's the next part. That's what needs to happen. I hope that his influence and his time in Detroit has allowed him to pick up on things. I want him in the room when it comes to the idea of drafting offensive linemen, because he has actually deployed successful offensive linemen. He understands what all pro guys on the offensive line look like and how they can play in concert. Hopefully, he can identify what those guys look like in college football and put his thumb on the scale when it comes time for Ryan Poles to make some decisions on who to draft and why to draft them. That's the next step. That's the value in all of this. I'm glad that they didn't look like buffoons. There was the possibility that that was going to be the case, that you do all of this prep work and you make all of these contacts and Ben decides to go to Jacksonville or he decides to go to Las Vegas. That didn't happen. For once, the Bears had the best deal. They got it right. So, yes, if you would like to celebrate that they got that part right while also knowing that the work isn't done, I think that that's completely acceptable. You should be happy that they made this hire. And now let's see if all, because here's the thing. You wanted Ben Johnson. I've seen your comments here. I've seen your comments on Twitter. I've seen your comments on Instagram. You wanted Ben Johnson. And they got him. And so the other stuff, we are going to have to wait and see on it, but at least there's going to be some stuff that happens fairly quickly that we can have opinions on, like what type of staff are you going to put together? And I'm not surprised that there was an agreement. It's kind of known around the league. If you leave, you can't just raid the cupboards, man. Like you can't just take everyone with you. Like I couldn't do that in this business. I couldn't be like, well, I'm gonna go take this job at WFAN. Tanny, Shane, Speaks, come on, we're all going. We're all going to WFAN. And then Mitch is like, wait, I let you, like, what if Danny had done that? I mean, it would have been a glow up for everyone because they'd be making those big dollars, but that wouldn't have felt right. You can't just take everyone with you. So we'll see who he ends up hiring. But so far, I've enjoyed what I have heard from Ben Johnson. And I'm looking forward to hearing more. And I'm looking forward to see action behind the words. So in late January, if you want to talk about wins, I don't want to hear it. If you want to say, well, the Bears are the only team in the NFC North that has wins, I don't want to hear that because we all know that that's hollow. We all know that you'd rather them lose in a playoff game than win the regular season finale. But if you want to take this time and say, hey, man, maybe the Bears are changing. This is step one, and they have a lot more steps for us to take. But maybe they're changing the way that they do things. Maybe Ryan Poles can learn. That's the biggest thing now. Can he learn from his mistakes and get better at the job? So far, I've liked what I've heard from Ben Johnson. To put it another way, I like the way he talked. He liked the way I talk. Mm-hmm. French fried potatoes. I've been watching way too much Billy Bob Thornton on Landman, so it makes me think of Sling Blade. Anywho, I appreciate you watching. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, I appreciate you there too. Come on over to the YouTube page. We get video too. There's all the whole library of stuff in here, stuff that's not on the audio. So I appreciate whatever platform you're digesting this from. Thanks for your support. As always, I will talk to you next time. Peace.